Hi, I'm Jed Sundwall. I'm one of the co-founders of Measured Voice, and Measured Voice is a tool that helps you develop mission-driven social media operations. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that in a minute, but first I want to talk to you a little bit about why we built it, because we're trying to solve something that's important to us. We've been consulting on social media for government for a little over 4 years, mostly at the federal level. And we built Measured Voice so that people could benefit from some of the things that we've learned through a web app. So raise your hand if the city that you come from has an official Facebook or Twitter account. Okay, so yeah. I knew everyone would raise their hands because this is the Code for America Summit, but also because the Fels Institute for Government at the University of Pennsylvania recently found that 94% of cities in the country have Twitter accounts, about 90% have Facebook accounts. And what this means to us, or what we see in this, is that there are millions of people in the country that are using social media. They're expecting the government to be there. They're expecting to find information about emergency information, how to help their city, generally what's going on. They're going to ask questions. So social media is now a critical interface to government. And because of that, we believe it's important that governments develop strong, consistent voices that on social media that the public comes to recognize and trust. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about a few of our features and how we help you do that. So first of all is workflow. At the core, we provide a distraction-free environment for your staff to write great messages. They can schedule them to go out in the future on Facebook and Twitter. And then you can also have a degree of editorial control of your messages. So people can write messages, but they won't go out unless an editor approves them. This functionality can be absolutely critical. In 2011, when the town of Joplin, Missouri was essentially destroyed by a tornado, the state of Missouri used Measured Voice to gather messaging from FEMA and from various agencies across the state, and then program messaging to go out around the clock. This was essential to have messaging scheduled so that you could actually have people on the ground helping people whose homes had just been destroyed. And speaking of people, we built Measured Voice to be very simple, so it requires minimal training. We say that you don't need social media experts, but you need to get your experts on social media. So we allow you to bring in people from across your organization to get them to collaborate on messaging. And so the Government Accountability Office, they actually have a program called GAO Plugged In, and they use Measured Voice to allow 20 of their analysts to constantly comb through the thousands of reports that they generate every year and schedule social media messages about those reports when they're timely and relevant to the news cycle. And we're proud to let them do this. They're a great organization that produces a lot of great content. And then the other thing we do is we track your messages when they go out. We track how many people saw them, if they engaged with them, if they liked them. And based on this, you can make data-driven decisions on what you should be talking about and how you should say it. We do this all the time at USA.gov with our clients at USA.gov. It's essential. And then finally, guidelines. Voice is very important to us. We talk all the time about developing a strong voice, but it's really difficult. But we found that guidelines that explain what your goals are, how you should sound, what you talk about, and why can be very powerful. I talked to Veronica McGregor at NASA. She actually writes the tweets for the Curiosity rover. And I asked her, what are NASA's guidelines? What do you tell writers for NASA? And what she said to me just floored me. She said, we want people to go outside and look up, because one of NASA's goals is to promote careers in science and engineering. And every one of her colleagues, they remember some moment when they went outside and they looked up and they became curious about their place in the world. And next thing you know, they're making the world a better place by pursuing a career in the science. And just that simple kind of thing is so powerful. And so there's no secret why NASA is so popular on social media. So it's the kind of thing that you could have this guideline for your city that you're tweeting because you want your audience to know that they live in the best city in the world and that they can make it a better place. That's just an example. You can use that if you want. That's for free. So we spent the better part of the last century organizing our offices and our communications around the printed sheet of paper. Memos, PDFs, even when we go paperless, we're still forwarding attachments that follow this paradigm. Those days are over. The brief, extremely timely direct message, we call the social media message or the tweet for short, this is the document of the future. It's how the public, it's how citizens interact with one another, and it's how they're expecting you to interact with them. So it's time to develop mission-driven social media operations. So today, I'm very happy to announce that Measured Voice, a new version of Measured Voice, is now in private beta for government users, and everyone here is invited to use it. If you go to measuredvoice.com/govbeta, you can sign up. I'll be here all day. My colleagues, Chris and Lee, they're right there, whatever, they're raising their hands. You can find us. We'll be glad to get you set up. Thank you.